Hi, everybody. Thanks so much, Janine, for holding that space and welcoming everybody. And yeah, I'm so pleased that you can all make it. I think we've got about 20 people on the call. We had about 45 people registering, or 48, I think, with some invited guests as well. So thank you all. And just a reminder that this will be recorded so that you can go back and listen to it, or if for some reason you don't, there's technical difficulties or something, it will be recorded. It'll be available tomorrow by the latest. And okay, so without further ado, we are going to go straight into connecting and clearing and grounding meditation. And I'm going to share my screen so that we have a beautiful picture of Zyra. Okay. So for those of you that are not familiar with the White Line Project that I work with, this is Queen Zyra, as we call her. And this photograph was actually taken from footage of our last virtual Starline journey in November. And she is the daughter of Mara, who is the founding lioness. She was born in the Johannesburg Zoo, but was rescued with her mother and her two brothers by Linda Tucker, brought back into the wild when she and her brothers were 6 months old. And then their mother taught herself how to hunt and then taught them how to hunt. So, and she is still going strong. She's about 17 years old now. And this is how she's looking at 17 years old. So she's an incredible lioness. And I felt that she was so perfect to hold the space for this meeting today, where we are all learning more about connecting with the animals, with our heart, and how we can assist them in this heart process. Okay, everyone. So if you can just make yourself very comfortable, sit with your spine quite straight and your feet firmly on the ground. You can either close your eyes or just rest them gently on Zyra's beautiful face. And start focusing on your breath. Take a deep breath in. Slowly breathe out. And as you breathe in, you feel yourself relax. As you breathe out, you feel any anxieties or physical tension in your body just become released. One of the guidance I got from when I was in a webinar interview this week for the World Unity Week, I got the message that animal communication can help you be soft in your body. And that's what I want you to do now, is be soft in your body. On your next in-breath, I want you to become aware of this beautiful rose gold colored light. It's almost like the sunset with sparkles of golden light. And become aware of it surrounding you. And as you breathe in, you can breathe it in to every cell of your body. And as you breathe out any heaviness, any anxieties, any emotional stress, any frustration. And perhaps you see it as a dark cloud leaving you on your out breath. And as it leaves you, it's transformed by this light of unconditional love into this light of unconditional love. So any heaviness is dissolved and transformed. And then you breathe in that light once more. Take a few breaths like that. And now take your focus to your heart space, your heart center, that energy center in the middle of your chest. You can even put your hand over your heart space. And then as you breathe in, feel and visualize that rose gold light surrounding and filling your heart space. That golden light of unconditional love. And just become aware of this field of light surrounding your heart and expanding into the rest of your body and then beyond your body into the environment around you. At this moment, we are surrounded by a field of unconditional love. This is the field where we connect with other species through our own love for them. This is the field where you feel and see yourself as one with Mother Nature, with all the animals, with all the plants, with the insects, every element of our beautiful planet. And while we're in this space, just feel the safe space around you. Feel the connection that you have with all the participants in this meeting, in this gathering. Feel this as a safe space where only beings that resonate on the frequency of unconditional love are a part of this. Anything else will be dissolved. So just feel yourself safe. And while we're here, we set the intention, and you can set your own personal intention as well, that all the knowledge that you need at this time, you will be received. You will be receiving during this meeting, the knowledge around animal communication. That you will receive everything that resonates with you. And if anything doesn't resonate with you, you can let it go. Your intention and my intention is to be present in this moment, in this sharing of energies, all from the heart, from the space of unconditional love. Together we are learning, together we are strong, we are supported by each other, and we are supported by the animals and Mother Nature. We are not alone in this work. Slowly start becoming aware of your feet against the solid ground beneath you. Become aware of your body and bring yourself back into the space of learning and sharing. Okay, thank you, everyone. I always find it really important for, at the beginning of any call that we are doing online, is to create that space of, that safe space, that energy of love around us, just because it's always important to do it in a physical meeting when you are with people in the physical environment, but on a virtual environment, you never know who's going to be around and what their intentions are. So just I felt called to share this with everyone, that in this virtual world that we are living in at the moment, just be aware of that, creating that field of safety around you when you are entering into meetings. It doesn't matter what it's about, and just to be present and keep yourself centered the whole time. And we are going to be practicing some of that centering and connecting with the heart space with the help of our wonderful feline teacher, who I hope will pitch up in physical form, but we do have a photograph of her. If not, that's a little bit later. Okay, so there will be time for you to ask questions. I know Janine has switched the chat off. You can communicate with her if there's a technical issue, but I really want you to just listen to my voice. If you don't, if the words don't make sense, just feel the energy, and then we can have time afterwards to ask a few questions. All right. So I'm going to start off with how I always start off my workshops, and is that a reminder that where I am sitting now in Africa is, and where some of you are as well, is home to us all. And there's been so many discoveries of, archaeological discoveries that life as we know it, modern humans come from Africa. And I'm just bringing in this map, which is from The Mystery of the White Lions by Linda Tucker, where she illustrates the line of first time, which is the sacred Nile meridian. And there's so many mysteries around this sacred timeline. And of course, the stars that you see are the sacred sites. And Timbavati, where the white lions occur naturally, the only place in the entire world that they've ever been born and occurred in wild nature, is the Timbavati, which is a recognized sacred site. And actually the land where the white lions are protected, Sao, that particular point, has actually been declared a sacred site by the World Indigenous Forums as well. But just a reminder of where we come from. And I want to tell you a story that I discovered, that Credo Mutwa, who was known as the Lion King, the Lion Priest of Africa. And he was a high Sanusi, the highest shaman possible in Africa. Very well respected. He wrote an amazing book called Indaba, My Children, which kind of chronicled the history of Africa through myths and legends of his people. And he tells a story. He's now in spirit. He passed on the 25th of March last year, just before the lockdown happened in South Africa. And I know his greatness lives on in spirit, but he tells a story of the beginning of time and how in the beginning humans communicated with each other without words. They lived in, we humans lived in harmony with all the animals and nature and thrived in nature. Whenever they needed food to eat, they'd ask permission from the tree. So not only could they communicate with each other without words, they could communicate with nature without words. If they needed to hunt, just like the predator-prey relationship, they would ask permission of the animal before killing them very quickly and using every part of that animal. And they were also hunted. We were also hunted. We were part of that life cycle, that cycle of life where everything works in balance. And then he tells a story of something terrible happened. And that was when the H.E.A.R.T, these lizard aliens, came to Earth to dominate the planet. And they saw that humans could be influenced. And they promised the humans great gifts if the humans listened to them. But they also said they would punish them terribly if they were not listened to. And of course, this was probably the first time humans felt an unknown fear, because all the other fears were natural. And so, of course, in this story, the humans obeyed these alien beings. And what happened was the great gift was the gift of language, of the spoken word. But to their horror, humans realized with the spoken word came confusion, came misunderstanding, and they were no longer able to communicate with each other without words, no longer able to communicate with all the other animals and trees. So there was this great separation. Now, whether you believe that the aliens story is real or not, it's a story from Indigenous culture, and there's similar stories from around the world in all sorts. That was from the Zulu culture in Africa. But I mean, even in the Garden of Eden, in Christianity, there was this separation where humans went against God, the creator went against nature. And there are many, many other stories of how we created the separation by not following our hearts and by giving into fear, basically. And I feel this is continuing. This is how this separation from nature is continuing. It's through fear, it's through the spoken word, it's through a complete disconnect. So it's just interesting that Credo Mutwa talks about this race that came from the stars, came from another place. And I'm putting this slide up because there was an incredible fossil found in 2015 in what was called the Star Cave at the Cradle of Humankind in South Africa. And they named this fossil Homo naledi, which means humans from the stars. And in 2015, they thought that they aged the skeleton, and they thought it was between 912,000 years to 2 million years old. But in 2017, they realized after more examination that they were only 300,000 years old and actually coexisted with modern humans. So where did they fit in? How did it all involve? This is all scientific debate. But when you start looking how science starts sort of resonating with the ancient indigenous cultures, look back at the start, look at the beginning, and we will find answers. I've always felt that from the start, when I very first started learning animal communication, I wanted to know about the relationship between humans and animals from the beginning. And coming from Africa, it was just the perfect place to start my research. And that's how I found all the stories from H.E.A.R.T. Okay, so I'm going to go on to how does this all work? How do we start connecting with other species, other beings? So if you think about us all living in a sea of energy, every thought that we give out has an energy frequency. Every emotional feeling has an energy frequency. Every physical feeling, every experience is given out as energy. And each and every one of us vibrate at a certain frequency of energy. So we are all energy. And if we want to get into the quantum physics of it, it's very well explained there. But if this is all beyond you, don't worry. I'm just talking the basics here. And quantum physics is beyond me, to be honest. But it's a wonderful way of explaining how this communication can work. And what I want to share with you, most of you by now will know Masaru Emoto's messages from water, his experiments where he would get people to send thoughts to a glass of water. And the picture on the left is people sending thoughts of, I hate you, I want to kill you. So very hard negative thoughts. He placed the drops of water after being frozen, very high microscopic lens, and he'd see this. This is one of the images that came through. And if you know, to me, what I find fascinating is that there's a little human sort of outline there. And now that same water, he had people standing around sending messages of, I love you, thank you. And that was the image that came out. So if you're not familiar with the work that he's published, it's interesting that he is not the originator of this work. There is a doctor in Japan who has done a lot of work around this as well, way before Masaru Emoto, but for the life of me now, I can't remember who it is. Linda has met her and knows her well. But if you want to do some more research on that, Masaru Emoto, it's fascinating. When I was first learning and practicing animal communication, after I'd learned as much as I could from Amelia, my human teacher, I went to a talk by Masaru Emoto in London, and everything fell into place. That if our thoughts can actually influence the molecular structure of water, what else can they do? You know, what are they doing to the animals that we live with? Because, you know, we are not conscious of how the water our thoughts affect us. And actually, we are made up of between 70 and 90% water, depending how old we are. What is all the negative thoughts and anxiety and fears in the environment doing to our bodies? Masaru Emoto speaks about how, or he's in spirit now, but how it makes us ill, and how through love and gratitude we can actually repair the molecular structure in our body, and just think of what we're doing to the rest of the planet as well. So that always struck me. And fear is the thing that disconnects. It is the opposite of love. So I'm going to speak about a story, another story by H.E.A.R.T, and he speaks about how he came face to face with a man-eating lion. And this was in Kenya when he was working as a sort of helper, servant, guide to men on safari, people on safari, many, many years ago. And he was setting up camp, setting up the tent, and suddenly he was pounced upon by this lion. And the way he describes the story is that the lion was really breathing in to his face. They were face to face, and he knew that this lion wanted to kill him and eat and devour him. And Baba Mutwa realized that his struggle was urging the lion on to kill him more, to get more aggressive with him. And so he went very, very still. And when he went still, he remembered the words of his grandfather, who was also a high Sanusi. Now, this is a time when Mutwa hadn't been initiated into his shamanism as a Sangoma or Sanusi. And he said to the lion, I love you. You are my brother. Please don't hurt me. I love you. I don't have big teeth to hurt you with. I don't have big claws like you do. I love you. You are my brother. And he says he just spoke with his mind, not in words out loud. And with that, the lion left and he passed out and unconscious and woke up with a broken leg in a hospital. So there's a bit more to that story, and it is in Linda Tucker's book, actually, Mystery of the White Lions. So that just is such an example of how fear disconnects and is actually quite dangerous, especially when you're working with animals or people. I mean, we're animals as well. But love connects. Love is the safe space. And it's that unconditional love where we do not judge. We do not fear. We do not, it's without conditions. It's loving in a creator way, a God love, I'd like to call it. Human love has so many conditions. Human love says, I'll only love you if you love me back. I'll only love you if you stay with me. I'll only love you if you don't hurt me or if you don't eat my crops. If we're talking about agriculture and wildlife, we have a love for nature, but when nature is inconvenient, many humans want that nature to be rid of, to go away in whatever form. And that's so prevalent today because there are so many humans on this planet and nature is being pushed out. There's no room left for so many species. Okay, so I'm going to go on to the giraffe's message of heart and the heart connection. And this was in the Kruger National Park on one of the Starline journeys. And we came across this particular giraffe that's in the photograph. And it was astounding because all the other giraffes had kind of moved off and he stayed with us. There were two vehicles, we were separated, and we just sat with him for about half an hour. And everyone was getting a very similar message. And that message was to connect. When you are connecting and trying to communicate with another species, is to make sure that your heart is clear of any dark thoughts or heavy thoughts or painful, sad thoughts, feelings rather, because your heart's the center of your emotions. But because just going into your heart and sending love is actually not enough, which is, some people find that a little bit offensive and a little bit that it should be enough. But what we don't understand is that deep unconditional love, where we don't contaminate that field with our own pain and suffering, or even with the pain and suffering that we think we're feeling from the planet. At that time, when you are connecting with the animal, we need to be in pure love, pure respect, with an energy of absolute gratitude that we are here able to connect with this animal. And the joy, we must never forget about the joy of being able to connect in this way, because it is an absolute privilege when animals allow us into their field, especially as modern humans today. Okay, so I'm going to go into just a little bit about how we focus on specific energies. So this is a photograph of my dear Sunshine, who's in spirit, and a ferret called Delilah. And this was when I was doing a workshop when I was still living in England, so quite a long time ago. And Delilah and Sunshine had met for the first time. And you can see them sort of being curious and checking each other out there. And what animals do, they immediately they can sense whether this is danger, whether this is safe, what kind of energy is around, because they are already automatically tuned in. They are in this field of unconditional love of Mother Nature. They belong to nature, whether they're domestic, farm, or wild. They are part of nature, as are we, but we have forgotten that connection. So, as I say here, before we can effectively communicate with another species, we need to be on the same wavelength. We need to tune in. And how do we tune in? Unconditional love is the key. So, as I said before, all the different energies of our thoughts and our beings are given out as different frequencies. So here I've just illustrated the different sort of aura or energy of those three different beings: the human being, the feline being, and the ferret being. And then here's an illustration of Sunshine and Delilah getting onto the same wavelength very quickly, because it's part of their survival. It's part of how we thrive, or how animals thrive in a natural situation. So that is instant for animals. But humans, we have to often concentrate and take time, because we've been so conditioned to use our heads and not work with the space of our heart in order to feel what's going on. We've been taught to assess the situation with our eyes and with our minds and logic. Sometimes that's really not enough. I think all the time it really is not enough. We need to work with both, in our heart space predominantly. So there's just the relationship with me and Sunshine, where unconditional love is the common frequency, and that is how we start connecting. That is the field, the wave, the energy wave that we connect on. So here is an illustration of a cat, and I've just tried to illustrate the energy waves as nice, peaceful, purple waves coming across when the cat's feeling happy and peaceful and loving being where she is. And then you or the cat's human walk in, and they've had a really bad day at work, and they're feeling really angry and upset. And if you can imagine the energy waves moving off, being given off by that person, there's no way you can see where the red lines and the purple lines, they cross very intermittently. There's no way that when you're in that state of agitation and anger and heaviness, that you would be able to connect with the cat. And it's about being aware of the energy and the thoughts and the feelings that we carry with us. And it's about going into that heart space, stilling our minds, stilling our hearts, or opening our hearts in order to connect on that same wavelength as other beings. And what is interesting, I found, if people if they're not conscious of the energy that they're giving off, the animals, and they continue to be in that heavy, frustrated way, that busy mind, busy heart, busy everything, and not sitting still, the animals start adjusting their frequency so that they can be in tune with you. So and you will have seen it, a very, very angry, bullish man will have a dog that is always seems to be really angry, and someone who's a real beach bum and loves surfing and really cool will have a dog that's really, really cool. Or, you know, someone's really fearful. I've had so many consults where, you know, a person has been really, really fearful um, of everything, full of anxiety, and then their cat will be so stressed and so nervous. I'm not saying it's the only reason why the cat would be stressed or nervous, or the dog will be angry, but it is a lot to do with them connecting with that energy. And the more we can relax and be in that heart space, the better it is for everyone around us, and especially for the animals. Well, in the Venda tradition, which is one of the ancient tribes of South Africa or Southern Africa, there's a word called bukhle, which is a feeling of that feeling of connection where you are at peace and in harmony, and that feeling of oneness. And there's a saying in Venda that this is what we need to achieve in our life is bukhle, a feeling of peace and connection at all times. And I've mentioned the golden mean ratio here, which is 1 to 1.618. And if you research Claire Janish and the Genius of Water, which is a TEDx talk on YouTube, and it is part of my the introduction correspondence course, that the long, in-depth course, she talks about how the human heart beats to the golden ratio when we are in a state of love and inspiration. So when we are in that connected state, our heart is beating in the same rhythm as nature, as the earth. So just let that knowledge move into you. Okay, I'm just going to stop my share for a little while and just want to make sure that, Janine, everyone can hear me properly, because when I have my screen share on, I can't see any messages or anything. So is everything clear that I've been explaining?
Yeah, I've had no one say that they've had trouble, so I'm sure you're fine.
Okay, brilliant. Then I'm going to carry on. What I'd like to do is actually lead everyone into this heart meditation. So a connecting meditation with the heart. What we're going to do then is we're going to have a short break. Well, I'm going to go through the very basics of actually the physical, how we actually start talking with the animals, and then we're going to do a practice session with Maya. But before I do that, can I ask if anyone has any questions? I just feel like it's the right time to ask for questions. So Janine, maybe you can just put the chat on to everyone for now. And then if anyone has questions, you can either unmute yourself or write in the chat. No, it's really interesting when you're just giving a talk and you can't see the reaction of people. How I just want to make sure that everyone is understanding and I've been clear.
You need the feedback.
Yes, maybe that's my self-confidence there. But I know some of you have experience with animal communication, but it's always good as a refresher. Okay, great. Thank you, Donna. Brilliant. Okay. Well, then I'm going to trust that the information is moving through you and sitting with you for a bit as well, I hope. I'm going to share the screen again. Okay, so Janine, you do have the mic control. So if you need to allow people to unmute, but Hank is saying that he doesn't need to, but just reminding us that if we want people to speak, you're going to have to change the microphone control. Okay. So then let us go into that heart space. And so you can feel that unconditional love. I'm going to share my screen again. Okay. So take yourself back to where you were in the beginning, that feeling of being in a safe space. If those of you who came in a bit late, just hopefully you've felt yourself drawn into the safe space. Focus on your breath. You can close your eyes. Feel your feet firmly on the ground beneath you. Now on your next in-breath, take your focus down to your heart once more. Become aware of the heart energy. Become aware of any anxieties, any frustrations, any anger, any judgment, any pain that you're feeling in this moment. No need to bring them in if you're not feeling it, but just be aware if there's anything that comes up. And now I want you to be aware of that field of rose gold light that is still surrounding you. This field of unconditional love. The unconditional love of Mother Nature, of the creative force, however you perceive that to be, whatever form. It is the unconditional love of the divine that comes from source. Feel that enveloping you, keeping you safe. And now breathe it into your heart space. As if your heart is your set of lungs and you're breathing the air that is unconditional love, the energy of unconditional love. You're breathing it into your heart space. And now just be in that field of unconditional love. Let it clean and clear your heart. You don't even need to be conscious of whatever thoughts are needing to be cleared. Just trust that it is happening. Sit and be in this field. Let Mother Nature's love hold you, support you, guide you. Trust in that energy of love. Now, as you feel that lightness, that joy, that gratitude for the support and love that you're feeling, gather up your own love that you have for all of nature's beings, for all the animals, all the plants, the insects, the birds, every part of nature. And start sending that love out. Now, at this time, we are not focusing on one particular individual, but you will be later. Right now, you are focusing on all of nature. So you're extending, you imagine that love that you feel merging with that universal field of unconditional love. And you start expanding that field that is in your heart and around your heart, and you start expanding it, moving it into every cell of your body so that you are giving yourself unconditional love. You are feeling the unconditional love of Mother Nature. Together you are co-creating this field. So now join in with your love. Extend that field of consciousness to all of nature. So extend it beyond your body into the room that you're sitting in, which may have plant beings, insect beings, your animal friends that live with you. Include them in this field of love. And now extend it out. Extend it out to beyond the borders of your dwelling, into the gardens, into the streets, into the city, into the countryside. Include every being of nature in this field. It doesn't matter if you don't know them, you're not aware of them. And of course, we include the human beings as well that are part of nature. And we extend this field out beyond the borders of your city, beyond the man-made borders of the country, to the very edge of the continent, and then over the waters, into the waters. So you're including the water beings, the sea beings. You're including the water itself. You're including the soil, the sand, the minerals and metals and crystals that form part of this earth that we all live upon and thrive upon when everything is in balance. And we extend that field even further to other continents, places that we may not have visited, that we do not know. And we can extend that field around the entire planet. And there is no limit. We can extend this field to the stars, to beyond the Milky Way, to beyond, towards the sun, and to the sun behind the sun. We can connect to all that is and know that we are not separate, that we are part of this incredible cosmos, this incredible life place. In this lifetime, this is where we are learning and living and loving and being. And part of this learning is to learn to connect with our nature, to learn to be at one and to learn how that feels, to open our hearts to unconditional love. Many of us have not experienced that from other humans. But the animals show us Nature shows us. When we connect with nature, we can feel it. So be in the space just for a minute or two in silence. While you're in the space, just become aware of any images, feelings, sounds, messages that may come to you. Once more, take your focus to your own heart center and just feel that joy and gratitude that you have for Mother Nature, for her support in every conceivable way. Know that you are not alone. Know that you are supported. No matter where you are, no matter who you are in the right place at the right time. Trust. Trust yourself, trust the process, and most of all, trust the unconditional love of Mother Nature, of the divine. Breathe that information in. Feel it in your heart. Become aware of your breath, of your physical body. Of your feet firmly on the ground. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, everyone. I hope you were able to just be in that space for a bit. Don't worry if no feelings or emotions or information came to you during that space. If it did, you can write it down as soon as it's possible. We are going to have a break in a couple of minutes, and then you can get a pen and note paper if you need to Okay. Hi, Jan. I see you've just you've just entered. We're about halfway through, so there might have been a an issue with timing. So I'm sorry that you've missed half of it, but you will be able to catch up on the recording. I'm just going to go. We've just done a meditation, a heart meditation, and I'm just going to end this session before, and you don't need to end the session. We're going to just stay here, but have a break so that you can just stretch your limbs a little bit. Wow. Okay. So after the break, we are going to enter into a communication practice session with dear Maya. So I'm going to leave this up here, and I'm going to run through it before we actually connect with Maya. So I'm going to go through. Okay. We've run over. I'm going to whiz through these. Let's have a 5-minute break now. It's a bit sooner than I expected, but if that's okay for everyone, if we just come back at 4:05, so just a 3-minute break that we can stretch and have a bathroom break if need be, have a drink of water, and I'll be back here at 4:05. Is that all right with everyone? Janine?
Yes, that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great, Denise. You're going off to, yeah, we'll start again in 5 minutes. Or it's probably about 3 minutes now, but I'll be back here in 5 minutes. All right. So don't leave, just mute and stop your video, perhaps. Thank you, everybody. See you in a bit. Okay, everybody. I hope people are back and you've had a stretch. Okay.
Wynter, just a reminder that everybody needs a pen and note paper for the next step.
Okay, I did. That's, yeah, not quite the next step, but yeah, if people, just before we do the practice with Maya, if you haven't got a notepad, then please get one, because it will be very helpful for you to write things down. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so there's just a few steps to the communication process. As we did in the beginning, set your intention and you ask permission before you enter into that communication. And this is, I'm talking about when we are connecting with an individual. What we did just now in the heart meditation was connecting with the entire oneness of being. So this is when you want to focus on a particular animal to receive and send information. So focus on your heart center, make sure it's clean, co-create that field of unconditional love. And then the way I was taught is to see a bridge of light, love, connecting your heart with the animal's heart. But it seems to have developed to me that there is this field that includes me and the animal when I'm communicating with them. But see what works for you. If it's almost like a bubble of love that you put yourselves into, or with this bridge of light that connects your heart with the animal's heart. Not all animals that we communicate with have a physical heart like we do. So if you want to communicate, not all species, I should communicate with an insect or a tree, that field of love works very, very well. It's always good to just ask permission again. So once you have that connection, just to center yourself to make sure that you are on that same wavelength. And if all feels good, then you start the two-way communication. Of course, whether you have permission or not is an intuitive process as well. So, it really is about trusting that intuition. If it feels good, that you can just enter into it. If you are feeling blocked and blocked and blocked all the time, try again and another time. You end off the communication with a sense of gratitude and you thank the animal. And then it's really always important to ground yourself. So just really feel your feet firmly on the ground. We talk about a two-way communication. So it's receiving information and sending information. We often want to send information when we want to change an animal's behavior or let them know what is going on, sharing information to them about an upcoming move. I've got many webinars on this, actually, on the Animal Talk Africa Learn site, where we talk about the specifics of that. But I'm going to start about how we send information effectively. Of course, it might make more sense to start with the receiving information, because we always want to know how the animals are feeling before we start telling them things, or I do anyway. But to send information effectively, I'm starting with this because it actually is the easiest way, because the animals don't have to do meditation and still their minds to pick up the energy and the feelings that we are sending to them. We need to be very conscious of how we are conditioned when we speak to others. And I'm saying others here because it's not just to animals. We speak like this to other people and to our children. When we just say no, what does that mean? Look at that picture. We are so conditioned in the negative. We're so conditioned to saying, no, don't you dare do that. Stop doing that. But meanwhile, what the language of the universe does not understand the word no. It is a human concept. So if I say to you, do not think of a pink elephant with wings. If you are thinking of a pink elephant with wings, you can leave right now. And what is if I've already just put that information out there? I've put that image out there. You have picked up my image of a pink elephant with wings, and maybe it looks slightly different to what mine does, but you're picking up. There's no ways you cannot think of that. And that is what we do to our animals when we tell them not to do something. Do not scratch the furniture. And I had to keep this little cartoon that I've used for years. I know what you mean. So much furniture, so little time. I mean, who has cats that just love scratching on the furniture? But how do we stop them then? We ask them to do what we want them to do. Please scratch your scratch post. Now, they may not listen to you because they have their own free will. They may have a very good reason for scratching on the couch. So that is when the receiving of the information is so important. If they carry on acting or behaving in a way that you've asked them explicitly not to, and even you've shared the consequences of that action, or why, saying, well, if you don't stop scratching this furniture, you're not going to be allowed in the lounge, or whatever boundaries people have with their animals. But to find out why or what is making them do that action. And I just love that photo I found today. Animals do speak, but only to those who know how to listen. And this is what you are knowing now, is how to listen to the animals. Now everyone gets information in different ways. So I'm going to go through the most common ways that we receive information. And I've put the psychic terms, even though it's not necessarily a woo-woo psychic thing to do. This is all natural. This is all our natural abilities. But the world has given them psychic terms. The feeling of physical and emotional sensations. So when you're connecting, most people have an emotional reaction when they first start connecting. And we go into this a lot in the lengthier course and my lengthier workshops, because the emotions that come up may not be the animal's emotions. It may be your reaction because you're resonating with them on a particular level. And what we need to do when we're in that space and the emotions are overwhelming, we need to step back a bit and say, yes, I hear you, I feel you. How can I help? But that's another talk for another time. Feeling physical sensations, I often will feel what the animal is feeling in my body. So if the animal's feeling nauseous, I'll feel a sense of nausea in my body. If there's a sore little toe, I'll feel a physical sensation in my little toe. And you can start exploring that on a much deeper level if this is how you start receiving information. Some of you may already be receiving information like this and actually not even aware of it, or think you're going insane because you are feeling things that aren't real in a sense. Mental images, clairvoyance is a picture of me and Bob many years ago when he showed me an image of he was missing his blue ball. He didn't, there was, where's his blue ball? He wanted to play with his blue ball. We found his blue ball. So, that's something very, very simple, an image, a flash. It could be a movie image. It could be just a still photograph in your mind of what the animal is showing you. Hearing, clairaudience, is words and sound. So it could be a conversation that you feel like you're having where you actually hear the animal's voice. I very, very seldom get words like this. I'm more feeling and images. I'd say 90% of the time when I'm communicating, that is how I get the information. Sometimes words come to me without hearing, but they come in a sort of knowing way. And that will be almost like I'm channeling, and you just write and you're not sure where the words come from. A little bit like if anyone watched the water messages from the animals with P. Horsley and I on Thursday, the way those messages came through, they came through and I spoke them out as words, and that was how it was coming through, along with feelings and along with images for me as well. There are also smells. You can sometimes get smells, psychic smells or intuitive smells that aren't actually in the room with you or in the environment with you. And that can tell you a lot about what's going on with the animals. I've had animals complain about or showing me a toxic smell of chemicals in their house. Or I remember a dog who I was working with, who was in the UK, who was in a welfare center, and they were burning rubbish near his kennel. And I didn't know this, but I could smell the burn, and he was really feeling sick from this, and they didn't know what was going on. The moment they stopped burning the rubbish near the animals, he started recovering. And of course, a taste, this is really effective if you get that taste in your mouth of what the animal's really craving food-wise, or if they don't like something, go with it. It's a lovely way of receiving information as well, but not many people get that. I've occasionally got that. And then there's something that I mentioned earlier, and knowing, claircognizance, which is, people describe it as a premonition or a feeling or knowing in your heart. And a lot of my students will say, oh, they don't know how they received the information, if it was images or words or sound. So if you can't pinpoint it, it's probably that feeling of knowing, that inner knowing, which is intuition, the inner tuition of your soul, of your heart, of whatever you're connecting with. So don't worry if you feel like you can't get pictures or don't get voices or words. That knowing is just as effective. So here we're back to the basics. And here I've illustrated how it was a cat, Gorgeous, who is at the White Line Protection Trust that I know and love. And she was showing me how this field of love, this connection looks when I was connecting with her. And it is a heart-to-heart connection, but there's this field. It doesn't only connect with each other, not in a straight line. It is connecting above and below to all that is. So that can also come into part of the communication. So we really need to set the intention for having a clear, concise communication with the animal that you want to communicate with, to make sure that nothing else disturbs that communication or comes in. Okay, you create the heart connection. Of course, you ask permission as well. Create the heart connection. Be open. Stay in your heart and try not to think too much. The images, the feelings, the sounds, the words, the taste, the smells, the knowings come very, very quickly. Write it down. Write down the very first thing that comes into your awareness. It's not your very first thought. It's the very first thing that comes to it's a heart thought, if that's a word, a way of describing it. And then trust. Don't think about it. Don't question it, because that's when we start wavering and thinking, oh my word, this sounds like madness. How can a horse love ice cream? And then of course you find out that the horse had ice cream the day before. So, and also, just when you are describing what information has come to you, describe it exactly as it came without putting your own interpretation on it. That's often where people get it wrong, is putting their own interpretation or feeling around that. And really, you need to really be clear about that it's coming from them. You might resonate with it, but don't think about it too much, because that's when we start interfering with it. And describe exactly what you saw. You can say, so you said, she showed me an image of a room with a blue carpet, and I had a feeling of her really enjoying that room and feeling warm in the sunshine. Or you might just write the words that come without any explanation. Say, I heard the sound of church bells ringing. I got the smell of chicken cooking and the taste of it. Or it might just be a knowing. It just feels like it, or just sense that there is something that is disturbing her. So that is a really good way of sharing the information with the person who knows the animals well, because it just makes it easier for them to understand as well. And it makes it easier for you to impart the information without thinking too much. And of course, trust is a big, big thing in this. Trust that the information that you're getting is right, is true. The only way you're going to start getting confident in that is by practice. Okay, so before we start with dear Maya, are there any questions around that? And if you need to quickly go and get a notebook, do so now. And Janine, if you can open the chat and unmute people's mics, we can see if there are any questions.
I've opened the chat. The only thing I have the ability to do is to ask people to unmute. So if someone wants to speak, they could just put a message in the chat and then I can click on the ask to unmute.
Okay, excellent, thank you. I'll just give it a little while to see if there's any questions coming through. For those who are watching this on replay, there will be space in the lesson where this recording is, where you can ask questions in the discussion section of the course. I'll explain a little bit more to that but at the end of this. But if you do have questions throughout the week's course, that you might only take a day or two to go through the material, but if you do have questions, there's a space for you to communicate with us. And Janine and I will get notifications on that. Okay. All right, so seeing that there aren't any questions at the moment, we are going to I'm going to introduce you to beautiful Maya. Now, Maya lives with Janine, and Janine, has she honored us with her physical presence in your room yet?
No, she's around. She let me know she's around. I could hear her about 5 minutes ago, but she hasn't.
Okay. Wonderful. So maybe while during the communication, she will appear, and maybe towards the end of the call, you'll be able to see her on the camera. But if not, again, it's no expectation and no demanding or control. This is the energy of absolute freedom for the animals when we want to communicate. They know you, we don't need to see them in physical form to be able to have this connection.
Wynter, sorry,
Yes.
sorry to disturb. Hank has just said that he can't hear you. Is anybody else having problems hearing Wynter? If you could just let me know. I've opened the chat. Just want to make sure. Hank, if it's just you, you might just want to go out and come back in again, and I'll look out for you. Sorry to disturb you, Wynter.
No, it's fine.
Yes, Hank, I'd just go out and come back in again, and I'll admit you straight away. Maybe he couldn't hear me either, actually. I'll write to him.
Okay. I'm just adjusting my settings there as well. And I stopped the screen share by mistake, but that's fine. I'm trying to slide. Okay, so what we are going to do with Maya, normally in practice sessions with introduction courses, we ask specific questions of the animals, and we're not going to do that today because I'm preparing you for the H.E.A.R.T method, which you're going to be learning about in the written and audio material in the course. And we are going to connect with her after asking permission And you are just going to, I'm going to leave you for about 10 minutes in silence, and you are going to write absolutely everything that comes to you. If you feel stuck, or if you feel you need to ask a question, you can go ahead and ask, because you're asking it from that heart space. You can ask, you can start the communication by asking Maya to share something, something of her life with you, if she is open to doing that. We did ask permission of her, both Janine and I, if she'd be willing to be the teacher today. And we both felt very strongly that she would be very happy to. While you're in the space, I also want you to ask if there's anything we as a group can do to assist her. And if you get a yes, ask her how. What does she need? What can we do for her? Okay. So if everybody's ready, I'm going to lead you in to this communication. I'm going to stop my video so that my screen isn't shown and you're not distracted at all. Okay. So gently, just rest your eyes on the photograph of Maya. Set your intention to have a clear, concise, helpful communication with Maya at this time. Take your focus to your heart. We ask permission to enter the connection, the communication with Maya. Your heart is clean and clear from the previous meditation. Send that absolute unconditional love to Maya. Thank her for being here with us. Send her love, your love. Enter into that field of unconditional love. If you want to visualize a bubble of rose gold light that is surrounding you and her, connecting you with her. And don't worry that there's 28 or so people connecting with her at the same time, if that question has arose. It's all in this field of unconditional love. It is like people connecting with God at the same time. It is not disturbing. Have your pen and paper. And now I'm going to let you be for 10 minutes. I'll be in silence. And then when we come back, we can start sharing. Gently start ending the communication. I know you can go back and communicate more with Maya at another time if you feel the need to. Okay. Okay, everyone, if you want to just come back to the room. My video back on. And Janine, if you want to put your video and mic on as well. Great, thanks. I was just trying to work out how to have Maya's photo on the screen while we were here as well, so I could see people, but
Can you just share your screen again, and then we'd just be in the top right?
okay. I just can't see any of the chat or anything when I share my screen, but
I can see the chat, so I can.
okay, great. So I want to actually hand over to Janine now because she knows Maya more than anyone. And Janine, can you just tell us a little bit about Maya in general, and then we can have people sharing.
Yeah, of course. So Maya and I have a very, very strong connection. She's been with me before as another animal. I knew she was on the way, and when I got a call from a colleague who said that some kids had found a very young kitten who'd been abandoned by her feral mum. I was right at the house, and when I held her, it was like my heart burst open. And it's been like that with Maya ever since. So she was about 5 weeks old when I met her. That's a guess. I mean, we took her to the vet, obviously. She's now nearly 11. She's sensible around dogs, but she's not really afraid of them. She's very strong, independent cat. She's not really made other cat friends. We did have another cat, and after about 2.5 years, the other cat left home, and we never saw her again. She's very nervous around other people. As I said, her and I have a very strong connection, but even if I move suddenly, that's scary for her. She's okay with my husband, and she'll stay in the house when my 2 stepdaughters are here. They're adults now, but she's been okay with them being around, but she's not really made friends with them, and she will hide. If anybody else is in the house, she'll scream to get out. She just doesn't like being around people. She's okay seeing them at a distance. She will sit, you know, she can see people from a distance. She'll sit and observe. She's very interested in them in that way, but not when they get close. She's had a kind of a nemesis, another white cat, who they have never got along, and the white cat started to kind of hassle her, you could say. So a lot of the time Maya lived outside. We've just moved, that's why I'm referring to it in past tense, but she used to live in the garage at our old house. I would not try to bring her inside, but in the winter it got down to about -17 for many days, and I decided that she was coming inside. So she was inside for a few weeks and then went back out. So we used to live in a house that was, it translates as Shadow Mountain. So the house was in the shade a lot. Living in Norway, it was quite cold. And so in May, 5 weeks ago, we moved to our new house, which is very sunny. That was our main priority when we were moving, was that there was sun. So Maya, out of all the animals, was very excited to move here. Every time there's sun, she's found a spot outside. She's just laying there in the sun and absolutely loving it. She's settling in to the new area. She's still wary, but our tenant has seen her around, so she is actually moving around. She likes it when I'm with her, and she shows me. She takes me on little journeys around the house. Yeah, I mean, unless there's something else, Wynter, I think that's pretty.
Yeah, great. I just got a message from someone here. He didn't put it in the general chat, and it's quite funny because it's exactly what you said to me before when we were talking about this earlier. She wants more time with you. She loves she loves connecting like this. And it's funny because I got exactly the same thing. I felt like she'd met another cat recently, and maybe a gray cat down the street. This is what Hank actually's written here. I don't know if you've seen any other cats around.
Yeah, there's another new grey and white cat in the area.
Ah, there we go.
There's is it a tomcat? That's what you call male cat, isn't it? I'm not.
Yeah. Unmuted males and toms. Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a tomcat. He's also grey. And I haven't seen her. The only cat I know she's met, like I've seen her or heard her meet, was a black cat. But yeah, I have seen those 2 other cats around. So
okay, excellent. So she probably it's so often these things that we can't validate because we don't know where they go during the day, in physical form anyway. So if you open up the chat, if anybody wants to ask questions or share what they received to get validation from Janine, and also if she needs any assistance at this time, and if so, how, that'd be interesting. Because Janice, I'm not going to answer that. You've asked, what does she eat? What did you get that she eats? Because we want to see because she might be eating something that Janine doesn't know about. So Janine, Janice, what do you feel that she eats, or what did you sense? If you can answer that. Some wet and some dry.
Well, she had digestive issues when she was a kitten, because obviously she was away from her mum very young. So she's on a special digestive like dry food. But I mean, she has water, like she drinks a lot of water with that. So that could be the wet food, and occasionally they are in there. So that's what she gets from me. Now, she is a very good huntress. she does it for fun, like she doesn't hurt other animals, and she's under strict instructions to leave the birds alone. But that's not to say that she doesn't do something without me knowing. So, you know, it is possible.
I get the feeling that she does eat a couple of mice every now and again.
Yeah.
Mice.
I think so. And she did at the other house. What she's doing here, I don't know, but she definitely did at the other house. I saw her occasionally.
Okay. So Janice is saying she picked up fresh meat, probably eat some, yeah, she, okay, great. Shona has to go. I'm sorry, I know it's getting to be a bit longer than I envisaged, but Shona got a message that she's a bit worried about people putting poison down for mice. And yeah, so maybe be aware of that, Janine, if it's in a new neighborhood. I don't know if people do that.
No, I don't know. There are cats that have been here for a while.
Okay.
Lives here. Yeah.
Okay.
So I can ask around.
Okay, great. And Laurie, happy and loves the sunshine. Very excited about sunshine for sure. She said something about needing the powder. She also said take her to the wildlands. No idea what that meant. She wants to eat birds and watch birds too. She mentioned mice too. So she does love chasing. And then Chris asked, he scratched her nose and he got a black cat. So that might well have been a,
that's an old scar. That's actually probably 25 years old. And the next door neighbor's cat from before was white, but they also at the same time had a black cat. So it's very possible it's, yeah, from black cat as well. I don't know. I never saw it. I just, yeah, it's never healed completely.
And there's also, I got that she wants to teach. She said, learn from me. And she is a brilliant teacher. She has been on the academy course as a teacher for quite a while. She was having a little bit of a break while she was moving. So she's not up there anymore, but she probably will be again. And yeah, take advantage of that, her teaching. Donna, you got an image of her lying in the sunshine on a hardwood floor. She was inside near a door that was partly open.
There's laminate flooring here, but it looks hardwood, looks like pine flooring. So that's right near her window, which is where she comes in and out of.
Great. Carol got a sense of her cleaning herself and wanting Janine to help with her grooming. So I don't know if she enjoys being brushed or.
Yeah, she's, you know, I guess like most cats, she's skeptical, but actually something I did recently, which might be what she's talking about, is I did a T-touch. It's one where you put your hands through their fur. Now, normally if I get past her neck, she would be, you know, she would kick me away. But when I was doing this, I got all the way down to her tail and she was loving it. So that could be what, you know, that might have a sense of grooming.
Brilliant. There's some lovely messages coming through here about her being a teacher and saying, you know, believe, it's not hard. You're making, you know, clear out any doubt, meditate first, have a clear head and heart. Thank you for that. Sue got frost, cold. She likes to be warm, cozy. She says she likes meat, doesn't like the smell of cooked cabbage. Straight away, something about her back left leg. And that's come up before in the class. Remember her left leg, there was something about that. So I don't know if you've noticed anything about that, but she just wants, the only thing she wants assistance with is just to be loved. Okay. Anything about the back leg that you are aware of, Janine?
She has a limp on her front right leg sometimes, but so maybe that's why I haven't noticed something on the back leg, but I'll keep an eye out. I'll watch her when she's walking. Yeah.
I can be a compensation as well if there's something
Yeah.
with the hips.
Yeah.
Got the word huntress, prey. She said rabbits first, but then mice and spiders. Gosh. What makes a cat happy? The answer was food. Cats are maybe your projection. Well, I think cats do love, most cats love food. And I think, does Maya love her food? Is she food orientated?
She would eat more if I gave it to her. Yeah, she would.
Yeah.
But she
Yeah.
puts on weight in the colder months, you know, if she's not moving around. So I tend to have to keep. Now she's not thin, but she's okay. So she's usually got food left. She's getting enough.
Yeah. So Laurie got something about the front left leg and something on the left abdomen. So she has had digestive issues in the past, so that might be it. I got something connected with near dance, raw, relaxed, aware, and waiting. Goodness, now I know Nia quite very well, and I do Nia. So I understand that. I don't know if Janine resonates with that.
I don't know. You've mentioned Nia before, but I don't. I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, not myself.
Yeah, but that raw, relaxed, aware, and waiting. That's a lovely description as well.
That sounds like Maya. Relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ian felt that she had a painful foot and asked for a bit of healing, which is lovely. That's always ask permission, you know, if you want to send animals healing, and if they ask for it, that's just perfect. Laurie's asking if there's she saw fields with flowers.
Yeah, but it's filled with flowers at the moment. It's just absolutely beautiful. Yeah, she was actually walking on the other side of the little road a couple of days ago, and it's just, yeah. And she turned around and looked at me kind of, are you coming?
Lovely. Keiko, it's a window with sunlight coming in. She loves the sun, crawling bugs. Somehow heard a wail of a siren and saw a rainstorm.
Well, the window, this window here. Her room is the same room as my office. There was, when we first moved here, there was bushfire, bizarrely, and so there were sirens, and yeah, it was quite a few, and it flared up a week later. So that might be what she's referring to. And we're on the coast of Norway here, so it's the storms are much more raw, and yeah, we have had a couple of days of rain, so it's different. It's quite different, even though it's only an hour drive. It's quite different to where we were before.
A lovely message here. Continue on with how we must help the planet and keep working, be brave, keep learning. Thank you. Yvonne says she's a being from Lyra and gives powerful transmissions. So I think that could very well be. I know she is a powerful soul.
Yeah, she is, definitely.
Yeah.
Been around a long, long time.
Okay, but someone else also, Ian, got Lyra and Star being as well. So, you know, if more than one person is getting the same thing, you know that you're on track.
I haven't heard of Lyra before, so I don't know what's.
No, I'm not familiar with it as either, but Laurie also got something about ancient civilizations and her connection to one. So yes, I think Lyra is an ancient civilization.
Okay. I'll have to investigate that. Thank you.
I'll ask her. Okay. Well, that was beautiful, everyone. Helps me to help you. It's my purpose. I think we're probably going to wrap it up now. Just say thank you to Maya so much for sharing her beautiful wisdom with us and allowing everyone to connect with her. So I'm going to stop the sharing now. Thank you, Janine, as well, for your insights.
My pleasure.
So we're close on well, we are exactly 2 hours now. So we're going to be brief. If more things come, you're very welcome to either email Janine or actually put it in the discussion section of the course. Is everyone familiar with how the course works? You know, it's pretty simple once you're logged in to skip, you know, to continue with each lesson, and it all flows, and there's some slide presentations with my audio explanations. So from here on, you're going to have the rest of the week to go deep into this heart process, to be able to start achieving transformation. So it's not just about receiving information, it's what do you do with that information. And that is on a global level, on a specific level, on a personal level, on a community level. There are so many different ways you can use this heart process. I think most of you have probably been on some of the heart calls, the heart webinars. We did, I think the last one we did was for baboons. They're all free on the webinar if you haven't had a chance to see them. We did one for missing animals as well. And what was amazing is that after that call, I got so many messages. About 5 people that were on the call, cats had come back after they'd done this heart meditation. And I share it with people who ask me for help with their missing animals, and they come back. It's amazing. It really is. So this heart work really works. I'm just going to share the green screen again, just to remind me as well of what's next. So just to let people know. So it's heart energy achieving real transformation, the principles of a two-way communication, which is just what we were doing with Maya. So with the information that you receive from the being, the nature, whoever you are communicating with, you create, I've heard it called a blueprint. So you create a blueprint of what you want to upload to the universe. So what you want to manifest and realize in reality, what you want to transform from something that may be really heavy and nasty, like a destruction of an environment, to see it start becoming alive again, and how to put that into action, to physical action, to assist that process. So you will learn more about that in the course. I've broken it down into a 12-step process, which you can go through at your leisure. I've just written them down here. Very important not to release expectation and not to have an attachment to the outcome of any of this heart work. So you just need to trust, and you need to pay attention to the present moment. So I'm not going to go into that now, because I've gone into it in very deep way during the course material. Okay, so the next time we meet is going to be next Saturday at the same time, and you will see in the course material that you'll have some homework to do, some instructions to do. So what you're going to do is you're going to think about an issue that is close to your heart that you would like to be transformed, and then you're going to submit that to me so that I can include it in the group call, where we're going to start putting the heart process into practice. So I'm going to be checking on the course materials throughout the week. So when you write something in the discussion, I'll get notified and I will respond. So we'll be in communication throughout the week. You've got the whole week to go through it at your leisure. There's the meditations where you can really go into your heart space, start creating the visions, and start creating and achieving real transformation. Okay, everybody, we're going to close now, and we're just going to open our hearts to dear Zaira. Feel very grounded. Feel that gratitude, that love that you have for nature and that nature has for you. I feel immense gratitude for every one of you that committed to this work just by clicking on that button. And my wish for you is to have a beautiful, soulful, heart-filled week where everything flows and that you are able to be present and awake to all the messages that Mother Nature and the animals have for you at this time. Okay. Right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all here next Saturday at the same time. I will send out a reminder to everybody as well with the Zoom link meeting, but you will be able just to access the next meeting on Saturday through the course material. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for participating in this. Thank you, Janine, for holding the space so beautifully. Thank you, Maya, for allowing us to be your students. And until next week, everyone, I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.
Thank you, Wynter.
Okay, I'm going to say goodbye now. Thank you so much, everyone.